Hey guys, this one's going to be a little bit quicker than I wanted to because it looks like it's about to start raining, but finally got to my potatoes this year. So I got my white, my red. What you want to do is, when you have them, do a decent sized trench, at least like 5 or 6 inches or so. Some people do less than that, but I don't agree with that because you're just going to have to add more and more dirt to your potatoes, and for reasons I'll explain in the second part, but not for this part because this is just a quick overview. I usually plant them in about April, maybe early May at the latest. They usually come up around August or September. And the funny thing with potatoes is you actually want them to die before you harvest them. What's going to happen is, you see all these the eyes on your potato, plant those up, ideally if you have some, as you can see with all of them. If this would focus. Plant those upward, and the seed potatoes are going to break down and turn into roots for your new one. The eyes, or whatever they're called, are going to turn into the actual plant itself. Once the plant actually flowers, that's when you know it starts making new potatoes. Once the plant starts dying back, will be a sign that your potatoes are almost ready. And once they've completely died back, it's time to dig up the harvest. Dig them up, see what you've got. I'll be doing another video, a little more in depth, on actually growing them in containers, and I'll go more into the anatomy of the actual plant and explain why I plant them as deep as I do. But this is going to be a shorter one because it's starting to rain, and I have other things I want to plant. So, till next time. Hey everybody. So, I was going to do this outside with the actual potatoes, and do the ones I do in containers, or plant the ones I do in containers. But everybody decided to cut their grass just now, so I got another idea. So, where the hell's my mouse? Okay. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. I wanted to talk about the anatomy of a potato plant, and why they plant them, or why I plant them as deep as I do. So, let's just say, brush. Can't really, let's, actually first. Okay, say, yeah, if my mouse would work, say you have your soil level, and then I go about 6 to 8 inches, let's just say, this isn't going to be to scale. I plant my seed potato. Oh god, mouse, can you please work? Looks like a football, but close enough. So, you're welcome, viewers. Over time, as the plant forms, roots will come out, God, I need a new mouse. But anyway, the plant will emerge from the soil, and over time, get branches and all that crap, so on and so forth, and eventually flower. Usually they end up being like purple or white, in my experience, As I said in the previous video, besides that being fucking terrible, God, the flowers are a sign that your potato is doing something underneath the soil. And what it is doing underneath the soil is it's producing what are called stolons. Usually close to where the plant first sprouts from the ground. And stolons, draw another one, are what actually form your potatoes. They're like long tendril things. They're not roots, but at the end of them, they will start forming smaller potatoes. That's how you actually get your potatoes. The seed potato by this point will have most likely disintegrated or been absorbed into nothing as energy for the plant. But with your with your new forming potatoes, they don't form down where your seed potato is. They form closer to the soil, or somewhat closer to the soil than they do the seed potato. One of the reasons I plant them deeper. And a lot of people plant them 2 inches, 3 inches below the soil. I don't do that, because what's going to happen to you is once these little potatoes, the new ones, mouse, can you please work? Start forming, they're going to be emerging above the soil level once they get to the full size, which varies, but you get the idea. And once that happens, if their skin is exposed to sunlight, they start turning green. Now, if it's only a little bit, you can cut that off, even eat a tiny bit of it, but if you eat a lot of it, or it can get you sick. I don't know if it can kill you, but it can definitely get you sick. And if the whole thing has turned green, you might as well just throw it out. It's like it's a waste. So you don't want that. So oftentimes, even though I plant them deeper, I usually have to hill them up more, add more to soil above them. Or, scribble in Microsoft Paint. But that's the basic idea of how your potatoes grow. Listen, I am not an artist. And my mouse is dying, so this is what you get. But I hope it was somewhat informative. So, yeah. I'll be adding this to probably the initial potato video I did and maybe splice them together. Yeah, this has been Odin's Garden. I'm your backyard Viking. Take care. Alright, my potatoes in the container are in. And one thing I really didn't think of doing this as a segment just because I explained everything else in the previous 2 videos, but if you are going to grow in containers, look underneath the bottom, whatever you're going to use, and check for the little triangle. I don't know if you can see that. It'll either have some kind of number. Only use ones that have 1, 2, 4, or 5. Those are food grade. Anything else, you could leach plastic chemicals into your food. You don't want that. As for actually starting something in containers, you can simply just use potting mix. You don't have to buy garden soil or raised bed soil. A lot of that is just paying extra for some more peat moss and wood chips. If you're doing something in raised beds like I do most things, that's different. You could go with garden soil, but potting mix is better for, obviously, pots. Even if that was a little self-explanatory. And now that I've got in something about this size, you could probably get at least 2 or 3. I think I have 3 right now, potatoes in it. I wouldn't do more than that. You could put 1 or 2 in a 5-gallon bucket as well. You could also just start a tomato or a pepper plant in there, or a cucumber. Although I would only do maybe 1 of each. Maybe 2 if they're peppers. But for everything else, maybe just do 1. So that's the last step I'm doing for the potato video, and I'm just gonna bury these up more, water them in. Do make sure that your container has drainage holes and that they are not flat with the ground or flush with the bottom of the container, because then whatever you sit them on, the water's just going to get blocked up there and things are going to rot. Make sure there's at least a surface or a raised rim around the bottom, like in these ones. Or if you're going to, say, drill a Home Depot bucket apart, put it on something like raised, like 2 pieces of wood or something, so you can ensure the water drains out. So with that, I'm gonna get 2 of these filled, or at least one of them, for today, and that should be it for how I do my potatoes. Really not that complicated. If you want, you can also throw a bit of fertilizer that takes time to break down, or granular fertilizer, in here as well, because it's going to take a while for these guys to actually develop. But I would still recommend, for the duration of the time you have them, use the water soluble. This has been Owen's Garden. I'm your backyard Viking. Take care.